Asian English. It's I am liking, I am wanting, I am liking this very much, you know. It's an Indian expression, you know. And they do. They say I am wanting, I am liking, you know. And now it's become pervasive enough that it's pretty much standard English now, or international English. I am liking, I am wanting.
Where is it you are going?
Right. But anyway, all kinds of influences, that's what happens, is that it expands dramatically because people mix up with other people. And languages get formed that are combinations of other languages.
So in other words, it's not the gene that's responsible for all these different sounds.
But these are, again, it's hard to, we're talking about a superficial level of language, is that when you go deep in the basic things, the word structure, the phrase structure of the language, you have very minimal differences.
But it's the thousands of years of interaction between various people that have mixed up the sounds.
Yep.
And
made sounds. But the basic structural formation of the languages is actually very, very limited. You would think, again, just it'd be fun. It's real easy to get me to diverge on something like this because I'm very fascinated and curious about it. But one thing is that when we hear a sound, we don't necessarily repeat it back the same way. We often modify it. I can think of a lot of good examples. The word for crocodile in Thai is jarake. Jarake. Do you know what the word for crocodile is in Portuguese? Time ago, okay? So where'd they pick it up? They picked it up here. But they got two syllables switched, didn't they? They had a dyslexic linguist on board. And so instead of saying jarake, which is Thai, they said jacare, which again accounts for a lot of differences. A lot of differences simply become because when one person says it, gets repeated by someone else in a different way. Again, it's a road I'd like to go down, but can't right now. Okay. I wonder if you guys, Rick and Kelly, would you put your things on the ground or move them over to another chair and bring that table right up here? All right, I'm going to do a little. These things are called Cuisenaire rods. Cuisenaire rods. And they were originally designed for teaching algebra and math. And a fellow named Caleb Gattegno came along and showed us how to use them to teach languages. I am not trying to sell you this method. As a matter of fact, Silent Way is uninteresting but quite outdated idea, but it does show us some interesting things. And so I just want to play a little bit here for fun. Okay? So here we go. Bao.
Bao.
Bao. Bao.
Bao.
Bao. Bao.
Bao. Bao.
Yeah.
Bao.
Okay, here we go. Pau preto.
Bao preto.
Pau amarelo.
Bao amarelo.
Verde.
Verde. Bao verde.
Marrom.
Bao marrom. Bao verde. Bao preto. Bao preto. Bao amarelo.
Azul.
Bao azul. Amarelo. Bao amarelo.
Marrom.
Marrom. Bao preto. Bao amarelo. Verde.
You first.
I ain't gonna touch them things. Go ahead.
Pau azul.
Muito bom.
Verde.
Muito bom.
That's all I know. Preto. Preto.
Preto.
Muito bom.
Pau amarelo.
Say again.
Amarelo.
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 Pau marrom.
Marrom.
That's good. Dois passos amarelos. Dois paus pretos. Let's back up a little first.
Preto.
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 Pretos.
Preto.
Amarelo.
Amarelos.
Pau azul.
Azul. Azul.
Quase. Dois paus azuis.
Azuis. Dois paus marrom.
Marrons. Marrons. Look at these two here. What do you got? Dois paus azuis. Dois paus marrons. Marrons. Okay? These two guys are together. Yeah, look at these two. Amarelos. Dois paus pretos. And this one here. Dois paus verdes. Okay, let's do this. Okay, três paus pretos. Verdes. Okay.
Três marrons.
Marrons. Marrons. Marrons. Muito bom. Isso é três passos verdes, três passos azuis, três passos marrons, três passos amarelos e três passos pretos. Por favor, me dê um pau verde. Obrigado. Por favor, me dê dois paus pretos. Obrigado. Por favor, me dá três paus amarelos. Muito bom. Por favor, me dê dois paus marrons, um pau azul e três paus verdes. Muito bom. Você fala português? Me dê um pau preto, dois paus amarelos e um pau azul. Quase. Quase. Mais junto. Me dê, por favor, um pau verde, dois paus pretos e pau marrom.
Say again.
I don't think I can remember it. I think you're right. Okay. How'd that feel?
Awful.
Yeah,
So in other
Silent
words-
Way has that tendency to make you feel somewhat annoyed, and it's actually part of the method, believe it or not. You guys missed it. Rick comes from the same school I went to, and Caleb Gattegno, when he was alive, was on the board of advisors up there, and I actually had Caleb Gattegno as my instructor, and he was a real cantankerous, provocative son of a bitch. He was really, you either walked away completely sold that Gattegno was God, pardon the expression, or you walked away really hating the session and everything, because it tends to be a little bit irritating. What makes it irritating? It's interesting. What makes it irritating?
Uncertainty or
There's a lot of uncertainty involved, and the fact that everybody wants the teacher to keep repeating it, and the teacher keep repeating it. No, the teacher tries to stay silent and tries to get the students to search. But there's something in here, guys. See, Gattegno, he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he wasn't like a modern researcher of psycholinguistics and cognitive psychology. He was fishing in the dark here. But he had some really good things. And one of the things is, what's the good thing about trying to get your students to... What's good about that?
You think independence for the learner?
Independence of the learner, yeah. You're trying to encourage the independence of the learner. You're also trying to encourage to try. If all the students do is repeat after the teacher, see, there isn't anything happening here. There's no engagement of the brain. This was all based on old Skinner and his rats. The idea that human beings were no better than white rats. Well, I think we're a little bit better, only slightly better than white rats. I know that I could count on
depends
Paul.
on the person.
Okay, so
I missed the first bit of it, and then I couldn't catch up because if you don't have the foundation, how can you continue? So you raced ahead, and then I couldn't even repeat it. Everybody else was doing it.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody in the class similar
That's
to my
right.
situation. So
absolutely. And so what do you do about it?
I just listen.
No,
and
I
hope
said,
that
what
I
did the
picked it
teacher
up.
do about it? What's the teacher do about it?
Oh, okay.
Get a
Right
student to
after
help
the
them
breakfast.
first.
They could, although Gattegno's answer was nothing. But the teacher doesn't do anything. Gattegno was brutal. Gattegno simply said that if students fell behind, they fell behind. That wasn't his problem. The other thing he would say, though, which I think had more meaning, because I don't agree with that, by the way. The other thing I think which had more meaning is when a student doesn't respond. Is there anybody here that didn't respond? Or waited for a while before you responded and then started to respond? Okay, see, Gattegno was one of these guys that said, we shouldn't be in the student's face saying, come on, answer my question. What are you, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? That you should let them decide to tune in and tune out at will. So Gattegno's answer, his good answer to you, Chris, would have been, well, our lesson would have been longer than 5 minutes. And that at some point you might have started to catch up. Okay? The other thing I won't say I would disagree, is that, languages aren't built by building a base and then building stuff on top of it. That's called the Frankenstein approach to language learning, and it doesn't happen that way. It happens in a somewhat more complex way, and it's very probable that given more time and more comprehensible input that you may have started to pick up. But again, I certainly can't guarantee it, and we don't know because it was only 5 minutes. Let's see, though, for most of you, what you did learn here. What did we learn here? Now, of course, most of you have had some background in other Romance languages. We've got some Spanish students here. Got any Portuguese students here? That was Brazilian Portuguese. Okay, so
Is that different from Portuguese?
slightly, not as different as the differences in Spanish, however. Okay, so what did we learn here? We learned colors. We learned the name of this thing.
Stick.
The thing. What else did we learn? Colors, stick, numbers. What else did you learn?
Give me.
Give me. What else did you learn?
Thank you.
Thank you. What else did you learn?
Almost.
What's almost? That's interesting. Wow, boy, you're really sharp.
But the plurals. have
Plural
different-
forms. I was trying to make a bit of a point because that's a tough thing in Portuguese, And I was trying to get you to group these two guys and these guys together because they're somewhat similar. Azuis, marrons, and verdes, amarelos. but it's,
So does it matter how many there are? Or if it's just more than one, the ending is the same? If it's
the
one
ending
or
is the
if
same.
it's two
Yeah,
or-
yeah, you have to put a plural ending on anything that's more than one, yeah. And actually the most important thing that you learned nobody noticed. Look at the word order. How do you say this in Portuguese? Três paus pretos. How do you translate that into English?
Sticks, black.
3 sticks black. See, that's not like English, is it? What do we say in English?
Black sticks.
Okay, we have to put quantity, a determiner for number first, then we have to put a quality, then we have to put the thing third. Okay, this is a parameter switch in your brain. That's one of the switches, one of the 28 to 34. And it also goes to something else I want to say a little bit. So there is a common misconception out there that the first language of your learner affects the second language learning. In other words, people of certain languages will have more trouble with English than others. This is not true. It is not true. It's under the mistaken idea that if you have a different set of switches, that it's going to become harder. Actually, people get this word order right off the bat. I've never seen anybody miss it. And yet it's the most different thing, actually, I'm asking you to do. After all, we have plurals with S's in English, don't we? So that's not different than our language. Right? Now, we don't change the words. We say two. It isn't twos. Okay? But they don't in Portuguese either. It's Deutsch, and it's Deutsch, it's not Deutsches.
Yeah, but then we have weird things like mouse and mice.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. Sorry. It's just going to take me someplace else. So my point here has been to try to give you an idea of what a parameter switch might be. In this case, I'm talking about the word order of a phrase, a noun phrase here. Okay? To, stick, blow. Trying to give you, again, the idea that trying to get your students to talk, and this is where I think Gatenio really has something good here. Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but trying to not talk too much. Don't try to talk for your students. Another friend of mine who's a really excellent writing teacher puts it this way. He says, don't colonize your students. Don't colonize your students. Is let them, in effect, do it. Because after all, they're the ones that have to do it. You know, we have the most beautiful job in the world, ladies and gentlemen. There's no other job in the world where you're supposed to put yourself out of a job. And where the less you do, the better. Because that's the name of this job. Is put yourself out of a job and let the students do it. Okay? One more little thing I want to say. I can't let you get away without learning how to say informally in Brazilian Portuguese, how you doing? You say, tudo bem. Tudo bem goes like this, tudo bem. And the answer is equally hard, tudo bem. Now that's pretty hard, tudo bem. Tudo bem. So here we go, how are we going here? Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Nothing fancy here, okay? So let's write that up on the board here. Like that. Here we go. Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Did you see what happened? Everybody tried to say an M here. There's no final M in Portuguese. It doesn't exist. There is no final M in Portuguese. It's ing. They don't have it. Okay? So I want to indicate another thing to you, that writing something up on the board, the first thing it's going to do is draw in language one script meanings, meaning sound interpretations. So again, I kind of battle with this every time we do a course of people wanting to expect that because you say something, students will understand it. No, they won't, because words don't mean anything. And number two, if I write it on the board, of course they're all going to be able to understand it. No, that's not necessarily going to help them either. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware of what's going on here. Is it your tendency to say them here is the same thing that happens to your students. For example, in English, we have the word school. Okay, does anybody know how that is said in Thai? You show that to a Thai person who can read the script, and they're going to say shkun. because this is pronounced like that in Thai. It is written in Thai as OL, but it's pronounced shkun. For example, my former boss's name was Captain Adun, spelled like that. Are you with me here? I'm not transliterating. The letters in Thai, which I can't write, are a U and an L. But their use, the way they ascribe sound to that is like that. So do be aware that when you write things, you may or may not be helping them say it or understand it. Okay, how are we doing here? Questions? Yeah? Questions? Observations? Comments?
We're not going to get into phonetics now, are we? With writing it phonetically on the board?
That's a good question. I'd say with beginners up to somewhere into intermediate, I don't think I'd do that. But it would depend upon how much time I would spend with my students, who they were, and where they were going.